Okay, so far, every example we've done has only had one unit that we're trying to convert. For instance, when we went from miles to kilometers, that was just one unit. Well, if you have a problem like this, convert 25 miles per hour to meters per second, now we have two things to worry about, and this could get a little confusing. My first suggestion whenever you have any question involving dimensional analysis is to write everything out as a ratio, and that's one thing over another. So when you see MPH, that looks like it's one unit all bound together, but really it's two different units. It's miles per hour, and per just means divided by. So my first thing I'm going to do here is identify, okay, I want to go from one thing to another. Okay, what do I want to go, what's my starting thing? Well, that's miles per hour, right? So 25 miles, I'm not going to write it as MPH because that's going to look weird with dimensional analysis. It's much better if you write it this way, miles per hour. And now the same rules apply. When we had something in the numerator that we wanted to get rid of, we put it down in the denominator. Well, when it comes time to get rid of hours, we're just going to put that up in the numerator. And you'll see what I mean as we go on. So we're starting off with miles per hour, and we want to end up with meters per second. I'll make that smaller. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just worry about one of them. Let's pretend that the hours aren't even there to start off with. So now it's just like a regular conversion from miles to meters, which we've done, what, 2 times now. So I'm just going to blow through this real quickly here and say, okay, miles goes on the bottom, and I'm going to do this with exact units here. So in 1 mile, there's 5280 feet. In 1 foot, there's 12 inches. In 1 inch, it's 2.54 centimeters. 1 centimeter, now this is a little bit easier. 1 centimeter to meters, which is where we want to go, right? And that's 10 to the negative 2. Okay? So now we've taken care of the miles to meters, because that's going to cancel, all of that, and now we're in meters, which is where we want to be. So now we got to get rid of hours. And it seems a little weird at first, because all the time we've been working with, okay, if you don't want it, just throw it down here. Well, the same thing applies. If you don't want this guy down here, just put him up on the top. And you still have hours over hours, and that's just going to equal 1, which is what we've been doing since we first started this. So I want to get rid of hours, so I'm going to put it up on the top, hours, and I need to get to seconds. So we could go directly to seconds, but let's just be careful anyway, because it's better not, because if you're not careful, you're going to make a mistake. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to go hours to minutes. Okay, and you should know this. How many hours are in 1 minute? Oh, it's actually how many minutes are in 1 hour. 160 minutes in 1 hour. And now we could get rid of minutes by putting it on the top, minutes, and seconds, which is where we want to be, right? So 60 seconds in 1 minute, think about it, that's right. Okay, now let's check. The hours cancels with hours, okay, 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top. Minutes cancels with minutes, 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top. And we're left with seconds, which is where we want to be. Okay, miles canceled with miles, okay, feet and feet, inches, inches, centimeters, centimeters, and we're left with meters, which is what we want. So we're ready to go. We could just plug this into the calculator. And let's see. We go 25 times 5280 divide by 1 times 12 divide by 1 times 2.54 divide by 1, because that's 1 inch, times 10 caret negative button 2 divide by 1 times 1 divide by 60 times 1 divide by 60, and we get 11.176, and our units are meters per second. Just to make sure those canceled. Those canceled. That canceled. That, and that. And we're left with meters and seconds. Okay. So we're good. Now, let's think about significant figures. Okay. So I usually do significant figures at the very end of dimensional analysis questions, because with dimensional analysis, everything that you're doing is multiplication and division. So the significant figure rules are really simple, and that way you're not rounding anything beforehand, so you're not going to make any rounding errors, and you end up with something much more accurate than you need. So that's better in the long run. So, okay, let's see. This was exact. It's just like 5 fingers on a hand, right? There's 60 seconds and 1 minute. That's definition, okay? So that's exact. Same thing, that's exact. This is exact, because there are, 100 centimeters in 1 meter, okay? This is defined as being exact, okay? So that's exact. This, we know exact. That's exact. And so now we have what we started with. And we have to take significant figures into consideration there, because that was a measured amount. If you're looking at your speedometer as you're driving, is it 25 or is it 25.01? That's estimated. So we're limited to 2 significant figures. So this had 2 significant figures, 1, 2. Therefore, this has to have 2 significant figures. So that would be 1, 2. So our final answer would be 11 meters per second.